Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Heroes of the Storm character breakdown. This time I'm going to be covering a couple of the characters that were in the previous week's rotation. Not really this week's, just last week's. I'm going to start things off with Uther. He's okay as a healer. He's kind of outclassed by most other healers like Brightwing and stuff, but he's not really a strict healer. He can just stun you for days on end. Like, literally, he can just stun you, and then once you get out of that stun, he can just stun you again. So, it's actually really difficult to get out of an Uther, especially if there's someone else there as backup for him. But I think he'd be better with like a mobility ability or move or something like that. I feel like he needs something to help with that. Like, he's not very strong on his own, so he kind of needs backup. And I really love playing him, but like lack of mobility kind of hurts him. Next up is Rehgar, the one you're seeing on your screen right now. He's a pretty good healer, but like he's better than Uther. His heals are actually really good. I don't play him well in this game. His shaman-like abilities are kind of cool aesthetically. He's not really strong on his own, but that's kind of expected because he's a support character and he's a healer. So it's kind of expected that he'd be a little weak. He's pretty decent overall too, but I think as a healer I prefer Uther. Not just because like he's a strict healer, but he can heal a little bit and he can also do like damage. Well, Rehgar is kind of just like a healer, so I kind of prefer Uther just so I can actually do some damage. Because Uther is like pretty decently strong. His little ghost wolf thing that he transforms into, I think I'm in it right now. It's actually really cool, really fun to use because it's like instant. You don't have the drawback of having to cast it, wait for a second and a half, or whatever the cast time is for a mount, because you're probably going to get interrupted if you're attacking with it, while in a Ghost Wolf you can just instantly go into it and run the fuck away, because most classes can't really catch up to a mount on their feet, aside from like, you know, if you're probably like Vala, or if you're using also like an Illidan or something. He's got some pretty good mobility for being a healer. As I said earlier, Ghost Wolf is actually like really good. I think it's one of his better abilities, even though it is just his mount. But I really enjoy playing as Rehgar. I'm going to need to play him more so I can get more acclimated with what he is, because I don't play Rehgar to his abilities this game, even though I do really good. Next up is Chen. I do not like Chen. He's like really, really mana intensive, air quote mana intensive. He uses brew instead of mana. It's the same thing. It is literally just the same thing. He chucks the brew at people, and he's just very underwhelming. I thought he was going to be better, but he's just extremely unsatisfying to play. His combo orientedness kind of makes me not want to play him as much. I suggest avoiding him at all costs. Like, he's just way better. A noob is like 10 times better. Mirrodin as well. They're almost always going to be better than Chen, because he just uses his mana way too inefficiently. Because he's a combo character. He doesn't fit well with as like a melee class. He has some quick cooldowns to help continue his combos, but his general lack of power and less intensive mana moves, he makes him really bad and really terrible to play. If you want to play a tank, just go with a noob. Alright, so next up, after Chen, we got Kael'Thas. Kael'Thas is pretty good. He's extremely mana intensive, probably more so than Chen, but he's totally worth it because he's really powerful. His Phoenix is really good for sealing off an area for a short amount of time, but it's not really good enough for much else. In the right hands, Kael'Thas is like a really, really extremely force to be reckoned with, and it should be dealt with as soon as you possibly can. He's pretty decent overall, but he needs some sort of backup because he's decently powerful, but he still needs some type of backup because alone he doesn't really do much. Sure, he's powerful, but he can't really kill you alone. Even if he burns all his stuff, Phoenix doesn't do anything. It just kind of like deals 100 damage, I think, at level 20, and that's like irrelevant. You can just run right through the Phoenix and just do nothing. But it still hurts, and you still kind of don't want to get hit by it. So it's more really annoying than anything, I've found. But it's still a good means of like crowd control, but not on the level of like Brightwing or Nazeebo or something like that. So again, after Kael'Thas, we got Sergeant Hammer, which I don't see much of anybody playing, and it's for a good reason. Sergeant Hammer sucks. It's more of a distraction as anything. She doesn't do much. She's just more siege damage oriented. Her stuff is really weak, but it does, I don't know, I think her siege mode does more damage against siege targets, but not against heroes. I don't know, I could be wrong. But she's really weak overall, but she can push a lane decent. Not on the level of Rehgar, though. I just think Rehgar is like way better as like a lane pusher. Her abilities don't make up for the lack of well, everything. She's like really terrible overall, and I don't advise anybody to play her. Her moveset isn't good enough to warrant play at any level, no matter what it is. Even her little ult thing where she just fires a missile down the fucking lane, it's not worth it at all at any point. So next up is Nova. Nova is probably the most disappointing one on this list because I thought Nova was going to be way better than she actually is. She's not that good. She's worse than I thought. I thought she was going to be a little bit more powerful. Her burst can kill you no matter what level you are. She kind of suffers early game from lack of power. And even like mid-late game, she's not very strong. But she can still burst you like no tomorrow. She can kill you no matter where you are. And if you're not paying attention, you will probably get steamrolled by a Nova. She's extremely mana intensive. Probably along the lines of like Chen or Kael'Thas or something like that. And she can be a little hard to play when you have no mana. Because I played a game, I think it was the last video I uploaded, where it was just 4 minutes straight of me being out of mana with Nova. And that's not that's not the way you play Nova, obviously. She has an extremely high burst rate, and if you're not paying attention, she can kill you pretty easily. And you're just gonna die over and over, and probably get frustrated because she can go invisible, and it's more, I want to say, noticeable than you think, but invisible is still invisible, and you can still hardly see it. She's kind of like Zeratul. But Zeratul is, I don't think, as strong as Nova. Because I don't think Zeratul can burst as hard as Nova, obviously. I think Nova is one of the best burst damage in the game. Probably along the lines of someone like Vala. But Vala doesn't burst as hard. She's just more consistent, I think. And again, I feel the need to compare her to a Vala. And if you want someone who does burst damage and is less mana intensive, just play Vala. Vala's like way better. So after Nova is Nazeebo. Nazeebo is I don't know what to say about Nazeebo, really. He's kind of powerful, but not on the lines of someone like Mirrodin, or he's really tricky to play. He needs kind of some backup. I think he's one of the more difficult characters to play. Effectively anyway. He needs backup to do well because he's more like a crowd control support character or something like that. Kind of like Brightwing. I keep bringing up Brightwing. But he's kind of useless on his own merit. But he can be kind of annoying and obnoxious to deal with because he does have that little ring of undead minions that he summons. And he can just trap you, and he's a decent crowd control character just because of that, and he can kind of like prevent someone from pushing a lane if you do it right, because the little toads that he summons just chuck, and the little thing of spiders that he does, and the little ring of undead minions, he can just do all of that and just prevent pushes while people come and help defend. He's not bad, but I don't think there are much better options than Nazeebo, because I think he's pretty decent overall from what I've played of him. His little zombie wall thing, it can catch a person off guard, and if you're not really paying attention to it, it can trap people for, I don't know, a decent amount of time. He's not bad overall, but I don't think he's worth the money if you want to go buy him, like off the store. I think there are better options. I just don't know what they are, but I don't think he's worth the investment if you want to buy him. I just think there are some better options for crowd control. Maybe like Brightwing. I keep bringing up Brightwing again and again. I think just Brightwing is one of the best healers and polymorph characters in the game. He just does so much for the team. Alright, so last up is Thrall. Thrall, I played, actually the making of this video, I played him today, the day before the new rotation came up. So Thrall is pretty powerful. He's pretty actually squishy. He's susceptible to damage, like a lot of damage, just randomly. If you burst him down, he will die. That's one problem I do have with Thrall, because he cannot survive burst damage. And he's really easy to burst down since his heal takes a while for him to occur. I wish he could be better. His passive combat trait is actually like really bad early game, but mid-late game it's okay. Mainly because it starts to occur more often, and that's when it starts to get, better, because he can heal for more damage. But other than that, like, it's okay overall. It does what it's supposed to be doing. If I were to give some advice on how to play Thrall, it's avoid burst damage at all costs and encounters with multiple people in him. Because for some reason he's like really easy to focus down, and just like for some reason like people like to pick out Thrall, and just it's just how it is, I guess. Alright, so that's another episode of Character Breakdown. We're kind of winding down on the characters. There hasn't really been too much that I haven't covered, so maybe a couple more rotations of this and I'll actually get through them all. So if you guys enjoyed, I will see you guys later.